Hey guys, welcome back. I'm here today doing a deck tech video on my brew Rak-Sac Aggro. You may have seen me play it a little bit in the past, but I'll be linking those videos to it in a playlist so that people watching this can also go and check out how the deck actually plays. Let's get right down to it. This is basically an Aristocrats deck. I don't really like the name. I prefer a sacrifice deck, but Aristocrats it is. This one is Rakdos colors, and essentially there are two types of creatures. There are creatures that are sacrifice outlets, so like Carrion Feeder sacrifices put a +1/+1 counter on itself, it can't block, and Nantuko Husk, well, sacrifices a creature to get +2/+2 at the end of turn. It's kind of like the ATOG of the deck. Can really sneak out some wins out of nowhere very, very quickly, and Carrion Feeder is just a really solid card as it keeps the counters and it can get really, really huge. And then we have the sacrifice fodder, as I like to call it. We've got 4 copies of Flayer Husk, which you can sacrifice the 0/0 germ and then equip. That would make the Carrion Feeder a 3/3, for example, just like that. And it also makes the Nantuko Husk into a 5/5 and then into a 3/3 in consecutive turns. Not bad for just a 1-drop. We've got Goblin Arsonist and Perilous Myr here that I want to show you guys. So these cards, when they leave play, they deal 1 damage to anything. And this has been a really important factor for the success of this deck, as it's basically like having 7 extra removal spells in your deck, and it makes them extremely hard to block and very, very versatile as well. Goblin Arsonist is very, very good at picking off Delvers before they flip, or killing off fairies. It can really skew combat math. It trades up with a lot of Stompy's creatures that have 2 power. Just a really solid card all around. You wouldn't think it from just a one mana 1/1 goblin like that with a stupid ability, but it works. It works really, really well. Same deal with the Perilous Myr here, except he also trades up, even though he's a 2/2. He's a 1 mana 2 mana 1/1, and he deals 2 damage to when he dies to any creature or player. And even if the opponent doesn't have any creatures left, you can still point that damage at their face and go aggro. But he will kill flip delvers, he will kill ninjas, he will kill a lot of Stompy's creatures. Muldrifters, just a really, really great card, and all the instant speed interactions with a card like Carrion Feeder makes it so that they really need to play around this, but it's difficult to play around. So really great card. Probably the best card in the deck is Mogg War Marshal. You often don't ever end up paying the echo cost. This is a great card because it creates 3 bodies for just 2 mana, and it works extremely well with the Nantuko Husk and Carrion Feeder to really end games really, really quickly. And again, yeah, we don't really pay the echo cost, don't care about that. We can. It's also very resistant to removal. It can hold a Flayer Husk quite easily as well. We've got a really hefty removal package here. Flame Slash to deal with almost any creature. We've got Firebolt, which deals 2 damage to any creature or player. And it has the flashback. You'd think the flashback wouldn't be so useful in a 21 land deck, but the 5 mana really gives me something to do when I draw all of those lands. When I draw too many lands in a game, this can help smooth out those bad draws and give me that extra reach I need to finish the game often. All right, we've got 4 copies of Terminate. Destroys anything, can't be regenerated, doesn't care if it's black or whatever, it just kills it. Instant speed, extremely useful card, good against Tron and whatnot. Worn Weirding's a card not many people have seen before. It reads, target player sacrifices a creature. If a goblin is sacrificed this way, that player creates 2 1/1 Goblin Rogue creature tokens with haste. So it's an edict effect, but it has an extra use in my deck because I am running Goblin Arsonist and Mogg War Marshal. And if ever the opponent really doesn't have anything I want to edict, I can just not even hold this card and just cast it on my Goblin Arsonist or my Mogg War Marshal to get 2 Goblin Rogues. So the Mogg War Marshal turns into 4 creatures. And say I don't have any of my sacrifice outlets, like the Carrion Feeder and the Nantuko Husk, and I have my Goblin Arsonist, and they have a 1/1 that I really need to get rid of, like a Spellstutter Sprite or a Delver or something. I can actually have my Goblin Arsonist in play, Warren Weirding myself, kill their 1/1, and attack for 2 with the Goblin Rogue. So a really, really cool card in this deck. We've also got 2 copies of Unearth here, which will bring back directly into play any of our creatures in the main board or sideboard, because its converted mana costs 3 or less, and it also cycles if ever I get running with some graveyard removal, which some people tend to bring against this deck when they see Unearth in the first game, but this is not often the case, but it also cycles if ever we needed to. Apostle's Blessing was a card that I slowly been really liking because burn spells, removal spells, and most importantly, bounce spells are extremely annoying to play against. Snap is just such a bad card for this deck, but Apostle's Blessing helps mitigate those effects, so your Carrion Feeder doesn't turn back into a 1/1 after you've worked so hard to get it to get big. And it also allows the creatures, well, a creature of mine to go in unblocked as well, because it gives it protection, even from artifacts if I needed to against affinity or something. So it can allow me to finish the game without having to worry about chump blockers. So yeah, it's been a really good addition so far. I've run other cards in the past that I want to talk about. The first being Keldon Dead. Now, this card is really interesting. It's a 1 mana 3/1, and it regenerates for a single black. Really good deal. The only catch is that you need to sacrifice a creature when it comes into play. This was the reason I actually originally built the deck, but eventually I found that it was getting burned, it was getting bounced, and that led to me feeling real bad because I sacrificed a creature. I lost a lot of tempo. It was just a really bad feeling. They went from 4 copies to 2 copies to no copies eventually, and I haven't gone back, unfortunately. But it could definitely be a really playable card. It held a Flayer Husk really, really well. Other card I want to talk about is Merrick Fiend here. This would be a really good card to have either in the sideboard or the main board even, because it's a 1/1 for 2 mana, yes, but when it comes into play, you get to take any card from their any non-land card from their hand and remove it from the game, exile it. However, if ever this creature dies, they get their card back. However, what you can do is, if you have a Carrion Feeder and Nantuko Husk in play, you can actually hold priority when it comes into play. So its comes into play ability is on the stack. You sacrifice it to the Carrion Feeder, Nantuko Husk, Racing Ghoul, whatever. It dies. Its least playability gets triggered. It goes on top of the stack, on top of the comes into play ability. So that means that the least playability resolves first, and then what's left is the comes into play ability, so that they have a card removed from their hand permanently. A really, really great card. Works well with Unearth as well. Haven't really found room for it. 2 mana is kind of a drawback for the 1/1, and if you don't have a sacrifice outlet, it's just a very mediocre discard spell. So not the best. Although I could see it definitely getting some use in the sideboard. Speaking of the sideboard, let's take a look at that. We've got 4 copies of Diabolic Edict, which I have just recently switched from the double black one. Gets Verdict. The single black cost will make this card a lot easier to cast. Instant speed, sacrifice a creature. I have to say this deck is very, very weak against hexproof, so this Diabolic Edict really helps smooth out that matchup. I see that I've only got there we go. That yeah, it really helps smooth out that matchup. as well as the Electrickery in the main board. War and Weirding were pretty well set up to beat them afterwards. Next, we've got 3 copies of Faerie Macabre, which I've just added, actually, and I'm feeling pretty good about this edition. It's a 2/2 flyer for 2 mana, but you can also discard it from your hand and exile 2 cards from your graveyard, so it's graveyard hate, but it also plays really well with Unearth. You can end up, exiling 2 cards from their graveyard, Unearth, get a 2/2 flyer for cheap as well, and it's also a sacrifice fodder if you really need it. So really, really sweet card for this deck, actually. Next, we've got 2 copies of Electrickery. Again, good against Hexproof, good against Elves, good against fairy tokens, fairies like Spellstutter Sprite and whatnot. Also good against Unflipped Delvers and that such. I've got an extra copy of Flame Slash. I think I might end up playing some Pyroblasts in the sideboard, maybe taking out a Faerie Macabre and a Flame Slash for it. But until then, it's been pretty good against Fighting Affinity and whatnot. Flaring Pain, obviously against Circles of Protection and Fog effects, which tend to come in from time to time. Keldon Vandals, you may not have seen this card before. It's a 3-mana 4/1 with Echo. But when it comes to play, you get to crush an artifact. Again, just like the Mogg War Marshal, you don't really pay the Echo cost. You end up sacrificing it to your sacrifice outlets. But this destroys an artifact, and it's a 4/1, so it actually trades with Myr Enforcers and what do you call them? The Carapace Forgers. So it can easily be a 2-for-1 in your deck. And if not, it can also put a lot of pressure on the opponent if they don't have creatures. And the Echo cost of 3, well, like I said, you either don't pay for it, or if you don't have a sack outlet, well, you just pay for it and you get your 4/1. So I don't consider this a bad deal. It's been very, very effective against affinity decks. And last but not least, we've got 2 Sylvok Lifestaffs, 1 to cast, 1 to equip, very cheap. Gives an extra boost in power, but more importantly, when the creature dies, you gain 3 life. This is excellent tech against Burn, and also against other decks that you want to race with. So you can equip a creature you're attacking with, attack, get that extra damage in, and then re-equip onto a blocker, block, gain 3 life. So it's an extremely serviceable card, really, really useful in all sorts of situations. Great stuff. So that's the deck tech. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and enjoy the videos that come with it, and we'll see you guys next time.